Welcome back to my channel and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen. I'm a certified weight loss and nutrition coach who has lost and maintained a 140-pound weight loss. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but that a lot of people suffer from, and that is anxiety. And did you know that there are certain foods that can trigger anxiety? And today we're going to talk about 4 of those foods and why they can be a trigger. So if you're excited, give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not. Turn your bell on because I upload new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Down in the description box, I will have nutrition coaching. Highly recommend those personalized macros and calories. That's exactly what I followed to lose and maintain my 140-pound weight loss, as well as one-on-one coaching for questions, accountability, or to talk with me directly. Links and discounts to my favorite healthy things are also down below for you. So let's talk about 4 foods that actually trigger anxiety and why. And added sugars, among other foods, may trigger anxiety symptoms. You can try alternatives like soothing teas and whole wheat bread instead of sugary sodas and refined carbs, for example. If anxiety affects your daily life, the foods that you eat and the foods that you choose can actually play a positive or negative part in contributing to that anxiety. And the number 1 worst food for anxiety, and what I would recommend you avoid altogether, especially on a weight loss journey, is alcohol. Alcohol changes levels of serotonin and other neurotransmitters in the brain, which makes anxiety worse. And when the alcohol wears off, you can feel even more anxious. Moderation is key, especially with alcohol. And I always say, if you can avoid it while you're on a weight loss journey, or if you do suffer from anxiety, that is what is recommended. But if you like to indulge here and there, it's most important not to overdo it. 1 drink, 2 drinks max is what is recommended. Now, there's some things that you can try instead of alcohol that you can still enjoy when you're out with your friends or at those cookouts or social events. Consider non-alcoholic beer or drinks that make you feel special, like mocktails or sparkling water with fancy bitters can also be great replacements in social situations. Again, I would try to avoid it as much as possible, but if you do need to indulge, just be very mindful of how much and how often. Number 2 is caffeine. Now, I love me some caffeine. I typically have a protein coffee every morning, and then I have a second coffee throughout the day, or what's called a loaded tea, which is a caffeinated tea. They're amazing. They also have loaded waters and loaded lemonades. The good thing about it, besides the caffeine, is there's a lot of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in it, and they do have decaf versions. I enjoy it because it tastes great and it's a great way for me to get in my water. I'll link it. I buy them off of TikTok Shop, so I'll put them down below for you. But caffeine can really be a trigger for anxiety. Caffeine is typically safe in low doses. High doses can cause unpleasant effects such as anxiety in people, especially who have a panic disorder. The FDA says that you can consume generally about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day without dangerous or negative side effects. Now, 400 milligrams is going to be, say, for example, 2 energy drinks or 4 shots of espresso. That's going to give you the 400 milligrams of caffeine. Now, if you're sensitive to caffeine, more than that can cause negative side effects. If you're not sensitive to caffeine, or you're like me and you drink a lot of it and it doesn't really affect you, then you can choose based on your particular situation. If you consume more than the 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, you can see some of these effects: headaches, spells of terror or panic, feeling trapped or caught, worrying too much about things, and feelings of worthlessness. And for reference, a grande Starbucks coffee, just their traditional coffee, contains 310 milligrams of caffeine. So that's almost what's recommended daily. And like I said, everybody's different. Every body is different. Every body reacts differently to caffeine. But above that 400 milligrams, those are some of the effects that you can see, which are leading to anxiety. So just be mindful of that. Number 3 is added sugar. This can play a negative effect on our weight loss, but can also very much affect our anxiety. The body releases insulin to help absorb the excess glucose and stabilize blood sugar levels. But a sugar rush makes the body work too hard to get back to its typical state, causing highs and lows. Consuming large amounts of processed sugar can trigger feelings of worry, irritability, and sadness. Now, there's some foods out there that you might not even think contain added sugar that actually have an abundance of added sugar. Food number 1 is ketchup. Ketchup has a ton of sugar in it, and it's all added sugar. Certain salad dressings, some pasta sauces, and breakfast cereal contain contain a lot of added sugar. So take a look at your nutrition label and look at where it says added sugar and be mindful of how much is included, especially in some of these sneaky foods. Try this instead. You don't have to fully deny your sweet tooth. It's okay to have sugar from time to time. Stevia, erythritol, and yacon syrup are great natural substitutes that you can try. And you can always fill your plate with fruits, veggies, with fruits and naturally sweet vegetables like sweet potatoes. Allulose is another fantastic sugar substitute. It's naturally derived from figs and raisins, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar and it tastes just like regular sugar. It's actually my go-to. I buy it right off of Amazon, so I'll link it down below for you. But be mindful of added sugar. And last but not least, number 4 is refined carbohydrates. Now I want you to hear the word refined in front of carbohydrates. There's a big difference between refined and unrefined. We want to focus the majority of what we're eating as unrefined carbs. Those are going to cause less anxiety results than refined carbs. Refined carbohydrates are foods stripped of much of their fiber and micronutrients. They have been associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease and have been associated with anxiety. For unrefined carbohydrates that are really great for you, they contain fiber and oftentimes protein. These are things like rolled oats, Ezekiel bread, or sprouted bread. Potatoes, these are fantastic carbohydrates to eat. What we want to be mindful of, especially with anxiety tendencies, is refined carbohydrates. Some examples are things like pastries, sodas, pasta, breakfast cereals, processed snacks and meals, white flour, white rice, and white bread. Some common refined sugars to watch for on that ingredient label are sucrose, which is another name for table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and agave syrup. So instead, try whole grain cereals that don't have any added sugar, or again, those sprouted breads are a great source of both fiber and protein and will not cause the same effects as a white bread or a processed carbohydrate. Everything in moderation. Just be mindful of how much refined carbs you're eating every day. So what's the takeaway of today's video? You could be managing your anxiety on an all-time level between medication, maybe therapy, mindfulness, meditation, but foods actually can trigger anxiety and you may not even know that that is the cause of all of those anxious feelings. Just be mindful of alcohol, caffeine, added sugar, and refined carbohydrates. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't have them, but we need to be mindful of how often and how much we're consuming. And if you find that these foods are triggering your anxiety, then these are foods that you may want to look at eliminating. Maybe do a trial. If you eliminate these foods, what happens with your anxiety? Every body is different, so everybody responds differently. Like I mentioned, I love my caffeine. I'm actually drinking a protein coffee right now, and that does not negatively affect me, but it may negatively affect you. So that's where that trial and error can come in to figure out what foods actually trigger your anxiety, and then those are the foods that you can eliminate or be a lot more mindful of. Let me know down below, what are your thoughts? What are some other things that you do to help lower your anxiety, especially if you are prone to those feelings? Let us know down below. You could actually really help somebody and make life a lot easier for somebody watching today's video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.